So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us for another one of our webinars. Today we're going to be talking about AI and AI agents. So today you've got me, Jason. I'm one of the directors at Horizon Digital. I love talking about AI. I love all things to do with it, and this here with me is
Munsif.
yes.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Munsif, and I'm one of the AI lead here at Horizon Digital. And as Jason said, we both love about everything about AI, and that's why we are here to share with all of you as well.
Cool. So we've only got 30 minutes, so we're going to go through a bit of an agenda on how AI evolution led to modern agents, what are AI agents, how businesses are using AI agents, AI challenges, cost, complexity, and security, and getting started. And then we'll have some time for Q&A hopefully at the end. Feel free to put them in the chat. Great. So looking back at how it all began, so I guess everyone wonders why would you listen to me? Why would you listen to Munsif? And so we know a lot of people, there's a lot of content on AI, there's a lot of information on AI, but I guess it'll help if I explain a little bit about what we've done to get here. And so this is a picture of our office, and yeah, it's after hours, so there's nobody there. But you can imagine normally these are filled with software engineers. And so we're as a software development company, we build software. And so, what would normally take, 4 of these people in, say, 2 weeks to maybe build something that looks like this. It's like a calendar, it's got register, it's got login, it doesn't look great, it's not very impressive, and there's a lot of energy and effort. And so, since the emergence of generative AI, I was asking myself, well, how can we use this to actually better our own business? And so there's no point trying to tell other people about how to use it if you don't use it yourself. So just trying to figure out what was possible, and one day walking along, and this is Munsif here, and he's doing vibe coding. If you don't know what it is, Google it, it's pretty funny. So yeah, he's texting his girlfriend, and he used a prompt that basically actually used that image that I showed you before to make this one person 5 minutes, and could make this. So it all worked. The login worked, the register worked, and it's a far nicer, better looking version than the original. So that got me thinking, I think we need to invest in, I guess, putting generative AI or AI type stuff into our own business so that we can do our stuff faster. So chose 2 people from the business, dedicated them to this task, this goal. How do we make our software faster using Gen AI? So 3 months later, got to the point where we can make rapid prototypes in 2 weeks, and that's across mobile, web, and API. So that's everything from, meeting with the customer, getting their requirements, and actually building a working piece of software that they can use in less than 2 weeks, which would have normally taken, 4 months or so before. That wasn't enough for us. So, this is the kind of thing we were building. So it's a portal, it's got a chatbot integrated, it's got users, it's got data management, it's a working piece of software. It's all built in 2 weeks working, right? Then we thought, well, we've got to make this more enterprise. So we kept investing in it. A couple more months later, we get to the point now where we can rapidly build software in 2 weeks that we can deploy live in production as enterprise software. And this is an example of a client's one of ours. It's got a dashboard, it's got real live data coming in of revenue that they're making from a workshop. Their workers are in here, jobs are coming through, all working. So yeah, pretty cool and pretty impressive. So we've implemented that in our own business. And one of the other things that we got out of doing it, we got a company-wide boost in efficiency of about 30%. And that was as simple as just rolling out some AI tools that were off the shelf. That happened pretty immediately. And that efficiency we got a pretty close to 40% in the end. And so that's another, I guess, a lived experience that I could talk about and why. And the final thing that wasn't really, I guess, I didn't expect it to happen, which was smarter internal operations. And what I mean by that is, people internally, because we were selling AI, we were talking about AI, we were building stuff with AI, people started to think about it all the time. And they just thought, how do I do my work better using AI? So individuals that aren't even software engineers would start to use tools, AI tools, to speed up their own work. And that was quite impressive. So those 3 things we've witnessed ourselves in our own business, things that we've done, and that's how come we've got so far in our AI journey, and it's why we do know what we're talking about when we talk about these things. So just to recap, the 3 major benefits that I found in my own business. So we delivered enterprise-grade software in 2 weeks. So we're obviously a software business, so it's a core part of our business. We achieved a 30% organizational-wide boost in efficiency. also pretty impressive. And we cultivated a company-wide AI-driven mindset that's increased productivity and efficiency, and it's continuing to go. So these are lived experiences and reasons why we want to try to share our story and why we want to try to share our knowledge. So AI.
All right.
Munsif.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason, for the overview and all that. So I wouldn't really want to start with this because it's not just a fundamental shift in how we do everything. It's just like a mindset shift as well. So it's like more of like it's I hold this true, like very true for the transformation that we are going through. And being from the development background, like I personally used to be a backend dev and a mobile app developer, so I can hold this is very true in terms of like how huge this transformation is, and like how I used to code 6 months before and now how we are using these all tools and how we are coding. So that's a very important thing, like how we are going to respond to this change. And that is very true in a way that it's really important to respond to this change accordingly. And then like we have moments like codec moments and all that. It's just when businesses are not responding to the change and change like this, which are transformative in a huge way. So there is a misconception about all these or around things. It's just like we think of it like it's we were sleeping, we woke up one day and it was just like something chat GPT and that's AI. And that's a really like it's a misconception around all these concepts and everything. And that's why people take it that when they're like it's just a meme board, it's just like something which we can chat and something. Yeah,
Some people have said it's a fad, right? And it might go away and it's just come overnight and it'll go away.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very fundamental and it's very important in order to understand like it's a whole journey that we reach here. And it's like just like if we see it in terms of like the AI eras we have, so we can see like it's even before 1950s, like
so what you're saying is really people have been looking into AI, and really AI is what I guess this whole thing is about, how to get computers to understand humans.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is like a whole journey. Like it's just not like November 2022 and that chat GPT moment. It's beyond that. Like it's goes beyond 500 BC even. Like
so 500 BC, people have been fascinated with trying to get
semantics and the meaning between the words, and how people thought of like a dream of how like we should have a common language and all these things. Like this is like huge journey. And now what we are in after all this is just like now we are in a journey, and now we are in an era which we call like LLMs and AI agents era. And that's very significant. So you were doing some research, Jason. Like what was that about? Like
well, it fascinated me because I realized that not only is it not just come overnight, but it's been going on for some time. And based on my research, for roughly 200 years, humans have been fascinated with this study and this area. And over 300,000 people have dedicated their entire lives to the pursuit of getting, I guess, computers to understand human language. And all of that, the sum of all of that work has led us to where we are today, where we're seeing a new sort of an era of this AI.
And absolutely. And you know what, like the true turning point to all that was actually that November 2022. And that was that chat GPT moment. Like then it actually, everyone started to understand this is something cool. This is something it can work. And even that was not even the first version of chat GPT. That was like the third 3.5 and all that, right?
So you mean when we all found out about it was version 3, right? But there was a version 1, there was a version 2, and then no one even heard about that before.
Exactly. So that's the thing, so that's the shift, and that's the laying foundation of all this that we went through, and we reached to a point where we can see like real significant value. And that's the reason like we had sparked a global shift, revealing AI's true potential to everyone. And that was, I think, the moment when everyone started jumping into it. It's like every major giant wanted to be part of it. It's either Google or it's either Microsoft. No one wanted to be, behind on all that journey. So that was all good. But like there are some like memes and everything out there, right? And still it's still true, right? So if we talk about the early versions of LLM, they were really great, but still they were very dumb.
You remember, like, I think when I was one of the early adopters of the first iPhone, when screens first came out, and I think I was rushed down to the Apple store, I got it, and I think I bricked my phone about 4 times just trying to sync my contacts.
Absolutely,
it wasn't very good, right? And so if you weren't continuing with that, your view of that product would be pretty poor at the time, right?
And that was the case. Like, these LLMs were so amazing, but we have so many things out there. Like they were like wasn't able to answer basic maths questions sometimes, and people making fun of it and all that. And it's very true. They could explain quantum physics but couldn't answer like today's weather. See, so that was one of the limitations. It's not just that limitation. We have like a number of limitations in the early versions of all this. So if you think of it like they were having knowledge cutoff. They were having hallucinations. Hey, like how many cigarettes should a pregnant woman have? And they will be like 15. So so things like this. So now there was no memory, there were no tools, they were like just like something which is just static in terms of, and they're just like a chartboard and nothing more than that. But that actually got changed to a very good extent, and thanks to technologies like RAG and everything, now we don't have the
So
knowledge
RAG, that
cutoff
sounds
issues.
pretty nerdy. So
Yeah, it's more of like retrieval augmented generation. It's a technique where you can actually take a real-time information and ingest it into the LLM so that it gives you the whole context and everything accordingly.
So what you mean is you can ask a question and it will use its LLM knowledge to formulate an answer, but then also research that answer, check stuff from the internet and augment that into a proper response.
Yes, exactly. So think of it more of like if we have a real-time information, let's say you are doing a currency conversion. So maybe the chart GPT doesn't know, or any LLM other in this case doesn't know exactly the current rates of that particular conversion. But if you take the real-time information, ingest it so it can answer everything accordingly. The other things were like hallucinations. They make up stuff from their own. And that's very true. And we have seen a lot of examples and all that. But now like techniques like grounding and all that.
So this grounding and this fine tuning, that would, you could ultimately remove hallucination if you tune it properly and you have the right structure in place.
Absolutely. And think of it in more of like in a way like ChatGPT or any other LLM in this particular case, they are very generic. So if you want to make them very specific to our business case, it could be any use case from a business. So we can actually fine tune to a level that it will be very certain and reliable for that particular problem or any use case in this particular way.
That sounds really good.
Yeah. And then like they were having no memory. Like, for example, there were some limitations like how much information they can digest and things like this.
So you're talking about how much information you could paste into a ChatGPT window, for example, how many words or how big the files are.
So if you are talking about the latest version of Gemini, that's like 2 million tokens. It's huge. And
so
it started
2 million
with
tokens is what, 2 million words?
Yeah. So think of it like a token could be hardly 4 words, 4 characters or things like this. So it's huge. And they started almost with, let's say 128K context size, but they are growing to 2 million now. So that's a huge deal about all of them. And now this is something which changed everything significantly. Now, like for example, they have they have access to the tools, which means they can search. We can have a knowledge base attached to them. We can do function calling. The function calling in this case would be, you might be running a particular restaurant and you are interested in your last 10 orders. Like in this particular case, ChatGPT or any other particular LLM might not know about it, but you have the ability to do the external calls in order to retrieve all the information and make it more contextual.
So what you're basically saying is originally the ChatGPT and then the LLM sitting behind it will just give you a response from that. But now that the people who make these products have added in the ability to search the internet to get information, the ability to use your own documentation and your own data to add to its knowledge, as well as calling external functions and external products and tools to extend the processing.
Absolutely. It's just like extending them and their capabilities to a new way, So now this is something like Jason, I would really like to have your opinion on this, because we are hearing it a lot.
A lot of people talk about this. So it's like, what happens with my data? What about my privacy? And what about my security? And that's constantly comes up, right? And, there's this whole concept around, if I pay something into one of the LLMs, whether it's Claude or whether it's OpenAI, what happens with it, and how can I be sure that you're not going to steal everything from me?
I really wish we should have enough time to go into the single individual details and how the infrastructure around all this is to make everything secure and
but we don't want our audience to fall asleep.
Exactly. So if I have to pick one quick example, so see, if I have to pick any company across anything, I might be wrong on this, but I will choose Apple. Like, they are privacy first company, right? And what we have heard recently, that now they are integrating ChatGPT in their iPhones, and like they will be replacing the answers with the Siri from the ChatGPT. So it shows something significant. Like, we can make them secure.
So in all the history of the Apple iPhone, they've never had a third-party integration ever, right? Because of privacy.
To a larger extent, exactly. Right? Yes.
And all of a sudden, they've decided to partner with OpenAI and allow the OpenAI model to have access to the customer data and everything on the phone.
Yes, absolutely. But they are doing it in a way which is acceptable to Apple. So what it shows a kind of a terminology in all this, that it's possible in a way that your data and everything will be very safe and secure. That's why Apple choose to do so. If that was not the case, they will never have to.
So what you're saying is basically, if we set this up properly, there's a way to keep our data safe, keep our privacy intact, but still use open LLMs.
100%, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So now thinking of all this in other way, so now like if we zoom out from all this and if we put all these things in a bigger picture and if we piece them together, so all of this enable us to truly step into the agentic era. Like think of it, Jason, like humans are like dreamers. They were dreaming for all this from years and years and all that. And now in history, we came to a point where we can utilize all these building blocks to do something amazing. And that's actually enabling us to do everything. So that's why 2025 is called the era of AI agents, because these are going to be something significantly important for every business out there. And it's actually transforming the way we do everything. And before AI agents, it's really important. AI agents, whenever we talk about AI agents, so people think of it like a very complicated things out there. So before like we jump into, so what's your understanding of agents itself?
Yeah, well, I think originally, if I hear AI agents, I think something from the Matrix, right? But really, if we break it down, we already know agents, right? So I've bought houses, I've sold houses, I know real estate agents. So, if I had a buyer's agent, say, who works with you to find a house, they would, search the internet, they would find the best houses, they would go visit them, they would check the metrics to make sure it matches my wants around how many bedrooms and how big the garden is and the size of land, my price range and the areas I want to live. And then they would get that information and they'd put that together in a format and make it easy for me to decide and basically make that whole process easy for me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing. Like, so we know agents, like we know we have sales agents, we have, like, as you say, travel agents and property real estate agents and all that. And if you think of it, so the main concept is pretty much the same. Humans having the ability to utilize certain tools and doing certain things. And that's exactly like,
so outsourcing a lot of our admin and our processing that we can't really be bothered doing the research and the processing.
Absolutely. So now I know it's a bit nerdy, but it's really important. And I will make it in a very simple way that how it's important to understand like how an AI agent works. So think of it like, for example, we have a project manager at Runner. So it's the orchestration layer, which actually is very responsible in understanding and doing and executing every task. So think of it like, for example, you have any input, it could be any task. So it goes to a specific agent, that's the main brain. And then actually the runner controls everything accordingly. Then the most important thing and a very valid concern like safety, security, privacy, then comes the guardrails and everything. They play a huge important role and we make sure
so
everything
is what they can do, what they can't do.
Yes.
Making sure that we don't give information that's false or
Absolutely.
that's outside of the scope of what we can actually provide. We have tools that we're adding in, aren't we? So function calling, web searching, looking at files. We've got logging.
And even computer tools. So computer tool is actually using the computer itself, like going to the screens and doing the search for you and everything. So these tools are just like hands for any AI agent. And if we put it all together, then actually we have models which are the brain and they think about what we need, what decision we need to take. So if we put it all together and if we stitch it all together, so AI agent is basically a fully autonomous agent that can actually think, and we have the information, and then the good thing is it actually can act on those information, and that's the real deal about it. LLMs were great, but they were just information, but information without any action is nothing, and their AI agents comes in because they can take actions and everything all together. So now we are sure about it. It's a significantly, like, it's a growth area. We have seen significant growth in this particular area. These are just numbers to quickly go through. It's just like,
so I think it's just we want to just cover off that by 2028, 284% growth in AI type fundings, 22% increase in investment, and it's the fastest tech adoption in modern history. So just to give a bit of clarity around that.
Exactly.
So
it's a demo time. So internally, we are working on a lot of AI agents for a lot of clients, ranging from mining clients to HR processes and whatnot. Like, we are trying to help these clients to automate all these processes. But I would really like to showcase something which we have internally done for the company, specifically for Horizon Digital. And I want you to put yourself in customer shoe and think of it like being a business person who you are running all this. What were like your pain points? Like, what are the things that you could think of, like, let's automate them? And
and no, it's a really good point. And I think this sort of backs up what we were saying before. Is we can show you many customers type stuff we've done before, but I think at the core of it is something that's more, I guess, personal to us, is like updating our own sort of workflows. So in our business, we have very much we build software, obviously. So a lot of time went into getting software requirements and putting that together and getting the specifications right and getting that signed off. And so we thought, having an agent and a process to do that for us would be quite helpful. And also we manage projects, right? Lots and lots of projects. So I think we manage between 60 and 70 projects a month. And so you can imagine with all the project managers across that, to get visibility across all of that and understand a little bit about the quality of what's going on. It's time consuming to have to go through project boards and look at statuses and see what people are up to. So make an agent that can actually do that for you and just come back to you with the things that you need to worry about. So that were the two things I think that we built an agent for, or agents for.
Yeah, exactly.
that we
So
can
so
show
just to
now.
add on all this, so Jason, as you mentioned, like we are doing enterprise level software in 2 weeks, right? So we are getting a lot of work now. Right now, we are like fully booked in every aspect. So as you said, 2 weeks of time, like it means automating a lot of scenarios, a lot of processes, and everything all together. So to just pick one of the Jason's pain point, it is just like, for example, we are agile first company, so we follow proper principles and everything, and we run into scrums and everything. But when we say 2 weeks and going and or looking for each ticket is a time consuming thing, right? So what actually we went into, we created delivery lead AI agent, and that is, just to give some context, is, for example, responsible for going through our CRM, which is responsible for our tickets generation and everything. It's like more of like, think of
our work.
yeah, project management tool. And what it goes is to first I will talk about pain points. So internally we have created a pain point that is just like our internal tool that our delivery leads usually use to gather the client requirements and everything. So for example,
so interestingly, this portal was made by the staff, right? So
Yeah.
this isn't an official tool. It was put together because, as I said earlier, people started to implement innovation, and so they got together in a section where they can make little tools themselves. And this was just one of the tools that they made, agent tool.
Yeah. So just to quickly clarify, like you will take the client information, you will go to the, so let me go to the interesting part, which is more of like, let me go quickly back to that point. Yeah, we have to just go quickly there.
Just a slight technical difficulty.
Yeah, so I will just quickly hop on here and I will just quickly explain it here. So just like think of it as more of like a client overview. We take the client information, we then talk about the project overview with the client. We take all the information, which kind of like custom web app and everything, all that together. And then we ask about the client MVP goal for all this. And then we actually go ahead and we generate all the features and everything straight from that particular using our AI agent in this case.
So we put the overview in, it generates all the features and functionality, which then, at the very bottom, what we actually done here is it outputs a file that we give to the customer to explain what we're going to do, but also generates a file that we can add into Cursor, which is what we're using in Amazon Q we use as well.
Yeah.
And so we plug that file in, and that basically helps us build that software faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in this particular case, like I can generate a PRD and I generate SRS, which is a software requirement specification document. And that really helps us to kind of quick start our development.
So let's talk about the DL agent. Let's go there.
Yeah, exactly. So if, let's say, this is our particular client, let's say, and I have to just quickly jump into the kind of the sprint planning, but I want to have an idea about like what's going on. So, instead of me going manually and checking for each ticket and having a score around it and what should be improved in that particular ticket, because clear clarification is the key. So clear requirements are the key. And that's one of the important aspects of our business, like how much time estimate we have for this ticket and all this. So in this particular case,
basically an agent's gone through and it's reviewing this particular client's tasks and it's working out what, based on some metrics we've told it about, to look for, which is, does it have details? Is it assigned? Is it estimated? Does it make sense? Do the tickets make sense? And it's going through and it's scoring them. So we can have a look and say, well, 65%, is that good enough? And what are the difficulties there? So, clarify the acceptance criteria and ensure they are specified and testable. So that's obviously missing from that ticket. So now either the project manager or, can go and look into that and say, well, we need some more clarity there because we'll get better quality, which we would have been doing manually before.
Yeah, and it would have like taken hours, but now as you can see, like in just less time, we can have the whole project held in terms of like how tickets are organized, how is everything working, and we can actually get some real-time feedback for each ticket as well. So this is just one small example.
Yeah, and
but imagine
we're going to extend it as well. So the next thing is we'll plug it into our Teams meetings so that it can listen into the meeting, and then it can also provide guidance on what's happening in the meetings itself when we're talking about planning and the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Get
So
through this stuff.
yeah. So this is the DL AI agent which we go through. So now that's for sure. Like future isn't about knowing more; it's about doing more. And I personally think this is the most right kind of time to actually do more and utilize and leverage all these tools out there. So all this enable us to develop solutions significantly faster. As you mentioned, like 2 weeks time is huge, and we have successfully delivered numerous POCs and real world solutions.
So I think the purpose as well to tell the audience is this isn't, when you want to build an agent, it's not a 6 month or a year process. It's something that, like in the ones we've built, 2 weeks, you can have something that is actually usable and is actually replacing sort of work that you would have normally done.
Yeah.
And so it's not, I guess the way to tackle it is look at something in your business that you do, it's quite repetitive maybe, or it's quite predictable to a degree, but it takes a lot of time and energy. Isolate that. You can talk to someone like us or another partner or somebody who looks into this sort of stuff and just see what other use cases I could do and what agent could I build that would actually make this work. And so, everything from, you could have an administration officer or like an EA, a delivery lead, a project manager, it could be a buyer's agent. You can make all these things, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Fairly easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's again, like everything is possible in a way that's very significant. It will save a lot of time. And this is something, Jason, would you like to talk about it?
Just really quickly. Like, I mean, we are lucky enough to be an Amazon partner, but anyway, like what we're offering some people now is free POCs or free agents that we can make. If that's something that interests you, hit me up or one of the team, and we'll discuss it with you further so we can get started pretty much with no upfront investment and get you something to test in your business with no out-of-pocket cost.
Amazing. All right. So let's see if you got any questions, and definitely we can then. Yeah. All right. So we got a question here. Would you like to go for it?
I think there's one question here. So does Horizon Digital have any products or solutions available ready to your customers? Production ready products would be nice to see a bit of what it does. Good to see what. So I mean, we've probably built about in the last 2 months, we've probably built about 40 or 50 different POCs.
Yeah.
So, and like happy to go through that in detail. We'll probably don't have time to do it in this webinar now, but if you want to send me a message in LinkedIn, I can show you that and show you one that's probably similar to the type of thing that you do in your own business. But we've done all sorts of stuff from, building systems that manage, jobs coming in and manufacturing on warehouse floors, to calling agents that make outbound sales calls, to psychologist type apps, to I don't know what else we like. Planning and transport. So if you want a better route planning analysis of where to put resources and trucks and fuel, we've done that sort of stuff. There's so many. Like we've done such broad work in this space where we've gotten to the point now where we're starting to see a bit more repeat of stuff people are asking us to do, which is cool.
Yeah.
Happy to show you some examples. Just reach out.
All right. I think, Jason, that's mainly it all about yes, it's like we are living in one of the most transformations era. And I think every single business should utilize, leverage all these AI tools because this is significantly, it can actually improve their business quite a lot, as we have witnessed for so many of our clients. Yeah. So that's it mainly from our side.
Yeah. And I think the thing is just to finish off is to say, there's many ways to build these things. So if people are telling you, it has to be on Azure or Copilot or whatever it is, or AWS, it doesn't. The concept is the same and how it's set up is the same. It's just which tools you use and where is it hosted that can change. And that depends on, where your company is at with what you're up to, what you're doing. Some solutions can be hosted even internally on-prem. There's so many different ways. You're better off looking at what it is you want to achieve. Have a look at that use case and see what's best for you and where you're at in your posture for your security, privacy, and cost, I guess.
All right. That's it. Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for your time. Have a great day.